Welcome back, boys. We hope everyone enjoyed their Thanksgiving and all the high flying fantasy action we had. We had a very high scoring week this past week for Rivalry Week. So we're going to gather here now and dive into all the hatred and all the high flying results we had. Nick, welcome back to the show. How are things going over there?
Good. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving and hope everybody had a good weekend shit talking your friends.
Very well put. Couldn't have said it better myself. With that, we're going to dive right into our first game here. We had a very high scoring one in this one. Glizz Mafia getting their ninth win of the season. They look to be the highest team in the league right now, improving to 9-3 with a 183 to 162 victory over FaZe Cavs.
Hold up one second. I just gotta change the channel really quick. Glizz couldn't figure out how to change the channel last night at Red Robin, but he did find the right channel this week in this game. 183 points, huge game. Kiffin award, team's red hot going into the playoffs. Let's talk about it. Trevor Lawrence, great game, 27 points. Josh Jacobs, huge game, 22 points, touchdown, 100 yards. Kyron Williams might be the GOAT, 40 points. Like this dude, when he comes back, the Rams offense just looks completely different. 150 yards basically on the ground, 2 touchdowns, huge game from him. Receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Tank Dell, A.J. Brown all found the end zone this week. And the specialists also showed up again. New kicker this week, Brenden McManus found his way into the lineup, hit double digits, and the Cowboys got to feast on a subpar team for what are we on, the fourth week in a row. But again, perfect recipe for this team, recipe for success. And, they just got to be loving how their pieces are starting to come together as they're making this playoff push.
On the flip side here for FaZe Cavs, it would be a devastating loss. They'd fall to 5-7. This officially puts the kibosh on their playoff hopes, although they do still have a chance to sneak out of the toilet bowl. Josh Allen would find himself back in the starting lineup this week after being benched last week, and he would reward the team for it, finding 45 points, QB1 performance on the week. Running backs weren't great. Both Eckler and Williams held the single digits. Eckler had a really bad fumble as well. But the receivers would make up ground for that. St. Brown and Olave with 17, 18 each. Nico Collins also having himself a great day. Specialists themselves would play pretty good here as well. Overall, they did have a very solid week. 162 points, second highest in the entire league this week. That will win you most games, I would say. However, they just ran into a juggernaut in Glizz Mafia, and their season would end in devastating fashion, it would appear. We'll see if they're able to sneak their way into the Mediocrity Bowl this next week. Second matchup of the week, we had Francy Feast with a monster 50-point win, 152 to 101 over WalllessPluto, improving to 5-7. Francy Feast getting it done in the classic fashion. We haven't seen this team at full strength really yet this whole year, but this was a flash of the Francy Feast teams of the past. Kyler Murray coming back now, showing everyone why he's a fantasy cheat code. He was able to get 24 of his own. Bijan Robinson able to get 28, another great week out of him. Derrick Henry showing signs of his former self, getting the Titans only 2 touchdowns on the day as they would get a victory. 22 points for him. Mike Evans and Gabe Davis also having solid days, 20s for both of those players as well. The rest of the lineup was not quite as strong as you see here with the tight end flex and the 2 specialists. However, still a pretty good score for them with 152 would be enough for them to get it done, and they themselves also now have a chance to backdoor out of the toilet bowl this upcoming week.
And for WalllessPluto here, running backs that have kind of been carrying them for the past couple weeks, kind of let them down this week. Saquon only getting 6.7 in that ugly game. Jahmyr Gibbs only 10.8. And I believe also James Conner had like around 6, 7-ish. So running backs kind of let them down this week. The 2 Bengals receivers without Burrow just weren't able to quite produce enough. Jamar Chase was still able to get, relatively his, but, not everybody's going to get fed now that Joe Burrow's not in the lineup. And, just not their best performance here during rivalry week. I am going to make a plea for Noah. Noah, you do have 1 more week to submit a bunch of waiver claims. I would highly recommend doing it.
By the time this video comes out, he's going to have about 7 hours too. So maybe want to get to it.
Yeah, get to it.
All right. Our third game of the week, we had an always heated rivalry as well. PC Principal, they improved to their league leading 10th win of the season. Oh, Now sitting at 10-2, the 154 to 143 takedown of Sticky Mistakes.
Well, Coop did come on the show and proclaim fuck collect season this week. And let me tell you, he delivered. Kamara himself had a solid outing. Saints weren't able to punch anything into the end zone, but he was still able to come away with 17 fantasy points. The receivers showed out like always. Keenan Allen, 14 catches for 100 yards, did lose a fumble, but still solid day. Tyreek Hill, 25 points, 100 yards, touchdown. That was huge. Also, Isaiah Pacheco has sneakily been a really, really good option over these past couple weeks. He was able to find the end zone twice, was able to produce as a runner and a receiver. And then finally, the freshly scooped off waivers. Noah, again, this is a PSA to you. Freshly scooped off waivers, Denver Broncos defense comes through with 27 points. And that honestly may have been the X factor for them in this game and just getting over the edge and squeaking out this victory. But big win here for Coop as he tries to hold on to first place. And again, coming through with a nice rivalry week victory.
Yeah, on the flip side here for Sticky Mistakes, not really a bad week for them at all, though a little bit compared to everyone else this week, but still some very solid performances out of them. Jalen Hurts, 36 points. Josh Allen still hasn't beat out right now in fantasy football, but at least in real life football, he's probably running away with the MVP right now. Just continues to sling the rock around and get tush pushes for first downs and touchdowns. Just very impressive stuff out of him again this season. Running backs, well, we'll get back to that in a second. Receivers played solid, both around 20 points out of DJ Moore and Jalen Waddle. Pittman also around 20 points. Specialists would play okay. The real downfall for here this week, if we were looking for someone to blame, Bijan Robinson, only 8.9. Kyle Pitts still somehow in the starting lineup, 4.2. And then Texans defense also held the single digits. Those would really be where he was held back in this one. They would come up short. However, they did clinch a playoff spot in this week with some other losses in the week. So that is where they're going to have to turn their attention to now. Make sure they're playing their best ball coming down the stretch here. All right. Moving on to our fourth matchup of the week. Yours truly, the Texas Size 10-4s. We were able to squeak this one out in one of the most epic fantasy football games I can ever remember following along to. We pretty much needed everything to go right for us by the time this one was over. As you can see, only a 6-point victory over the Philly Cheekles would improve us to 7-5. Dak and McCaffrey on Thanksgiving Day would prove to be make us very happy over here. Dak almost getting 40 points. McCaffrey with 32 of his own would set us up nicely. And that was after we had to witness Montgomery and Laporta score the only 2 touchdowns for the Lions on the day. So we were definitely a little worried going into the night games on Thanksgiving. And we've been getting pooped on Thursdays in general lately. However, these two showing out made us able to rest a little bit more heading into the weekend. So then Friday rolls around. We're going up against Garrett Wilson on the flip side here. He does pretty much nothing on the whole day. And then somehow he's able to get a touchdown. I believe it's the first Jets touchdown in about 10 million years. And he was able to sneak out 10 extra points late, get him to 15. So then Saturday happens. We watch college. Good day. Get a day off. Sunday rolls around. We get to the 1 o'clock hour. We don't have a ton of action going on. We had Godwin, who's a little disappointing, but our specialists were able to hold up. Steelers defense able to get 21. They really played well. I would say they played better than 21 points, but you take the fantasy points you can get. Koo doing his job as usual. On the flip side here, though, Blake's team still racking up points. Colts had themselves a good day. Jonathan Taylor missed a big chunk of this game with what turned out to be a thumb injury, but we know over here that he is a true dog. We respect the hell out of him. He would still find the end zone twice, good enough to get 24 points. And then ETN stuffed multiple times with the goal line. He would be held to 12. That would come back to be relevant by the end of this one. So then we get to the 4 o'clock slot. We have 4 players going, and these are our last 4 players. We had Swift, Adams, Nakua, and Kelsey, all projected to score around 17 points or so. And as you can see, none of them lived up to that. None of them found the end zone, which is really what hurt us because that always just makes it harder to get points. But also a lot of them missed chunks of the game. Swift was held out. He looks a little beat up. Puka Nakua just couldn't get connected with. And on the flip side here, Diggs would have that game to go into overtime. He was missing a lot of the game, as the announcers were pointing out, but he was still able to find the end zone, get themselves 18 points. So our day is done. We're sitting at 148. We have a 27.1 point lead on the Cheekles, and they have Justin Herbert and Dicker the kicker ready to go in the Sunday Night Football slot. Very first drive of the game, these two come down, kick a field goal. They have like 7 or 8 points combined between the two of them. We are sweating because they do some quick math. If that pace continues, this game's going to be wrapped up quick. Rejection bar is not going well for us. And then after that, pretty much everything went exactly our way in order for this to get done. The Chargers had 2 straight drives with a fumble from Eckler and Keenan Allen, which is like their 2 best players. Never expect that to happen. Justin Herbert has a garbage time interception at the end of the first half, just chucking a Hail Mary down the field. So that was a nice fat -3 for us. Then later in the second half, Herbert would fumble in field goal range, which that would have been a guaranteed like 5 more points for him, plus the -3 you got from the fumble. So that was pretty much the game right there on that red zone fumble late for Herbert. And then he would get the ball back. We were up 6, as you can see here. Herbert would get stopped on 4th down, giving us and the Ravens the victory. And after the last few years of trials and tribulations against this Cheekles team and what would be the beginning of the downfall of our seasons, as I touched on last week, this was definitely a big demon for us to get off our back this week. We would like to tip our hats to the Cheekles. They gave us a tough fight, as they always did. We expected them to give us our best game. But I'm very proud of the boys for squeaking this one out. We do clinch ourselves a playoff spot now, and that is where our attention lies. We're going to make sure we're playing our best ball on the stretch, and we're hoping to get our first championship over here. All right, and with that, we're going to take it over to our 5th matchup. We got Cleveland Steamers taking down the Canned Pams, 144 to 113. Nick, why don't you tell us how your boys were able to get it done? And while you're doing that real quick, I'm going to get a quick glass of water because that was a lot of talking right there.
All right, boys. I mean, we all know what happened last year. All right, Brenden Lemp called the feds on our beloved team captain, Odell Beckham Jr. Now, remember, Odell had every right in the world to make this week all about himself, because Lemp definitely crossed the line by calling the feds on a team captain during rivalry week. But Odell also knows that Lemp crossed the line even further in week 2 by victory lapping Nick Chubb's injury. So Odell, again, point of emphasis this week, nothing was about himself. Everything was about winning this game for Chubb. So if we scroll down through Odell here real quick, you might be like, Nick, what are you talking about? Odell only had like 6 points. Why are you just so happy about this man? It's what you guys didn't see during the week, okay? Odell was there every day trying to make sure that the receivers, Devonta Smith, Deebo Samuel, were set up for the best position for success this week. And God damn it, did we need it. Smitty, 100 yards and a touchdown in that epic game against the Buffalo Bills. Deebo Samuel, 80 yards receiving, touchdown, had 4 carries as well, as he was a pivotal, can I speak, piece of this San Francisco game. So we want to make sure we shout out Smitty, shout out Deebo, and shout out Odell for getting those boys ready. Now, we also all saw the rivalry week video, and we saw Lemp's little Santa Claus wish list on injuries he was hoping for the Cleveland Steamers this week. Then all of a sudden, Saturday morning rolls around, and Rachaad White's got a knee injury that just popped up out of nowhere. And you expect me to believe Lemp, who got inspired by Tanya Harding, wanted to Nancy Kerrigan, my running back? Now, just like Nancy Kerrigan, my boy Papa Shad said, you know what, Tanya? Fuck you. I'm going to go and show out. 100 yards rushing. First time he's hit the century mark on the ground since, I believe, last year in Munich, Germany. So shout out Rachaad White for dealing with all Lemp's absolute bullshit and finding a way to go back out on the field, even with a kind of bummed knee, and producing for the boys. And then finally, wanted to shout out our other team captain, Pat Daddy Mahomes, for coming back in the Raiders game. They went down 14-0 early, couldn't get anything going in the first quarter. Almost 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and outscored Lamar by over 10 points. That was huge this week. Now, we tried to get the boys together a couple times during Thanksgiving, and every single time Lemp was conveniently, he was the one that was like, hey, let's schedule some time. Let's do this, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, no, boys, double booked. You know, this team just always wants to do all the talking, but when it's time to stand on business, they're nowhere to be found. If that's not to describe the Canned Pams in a nutshell, I don't know what is. But we're just really happy out here that we were able to get this win for our boy Nick Chubb, for all that crap talk that Lemp was doing week 2. Only way he could get that victory was with the Chubb injury, and he felt like he actually accomplished something. So really happy we were able to get this win for Odell, for Chubb. Fuck Lemp and fuck the Canned Pams.
Yeah, flip side here for Canned Pams, they followed 3-9. Not really a ton to write home about. Their running backs would have themselves a good day. Ayuk found the end zone on a really sick touchdown, so I do feel the need to shout that out. But Hunter Henry getting 0. Seems like no team can get 0-point performances like this one. They do still sit in last place at 3-9. They will be playing in the toilet bowl. And with that, we're going to take a look ahead at week 13. This is the final week of the regular season. This is the last chance for teams to battle for playoff seeding, and escaping the toilet bowl is mostly what we're playing for this week. We do have all 4 playoff spots booked up already. We'll get into that, but seeding is very much on the line still. First matchup, yours truly, Texas Size 10-4s, sitting at 7-5. We're battling for wild card seeding with sticky mistakes. We'll be taking on WalllessPluto at 4-8. They have one Hail Mary attempt at escaping the toilet bowl, but they would probably need 200 points, and they would definitely need a win this week, so it's probably not going to happen. Mostly just playing for pride at this point. Second matchup, we got Philly Cheekles taking on the Canned Pams. Philly Cheekles have slid the last few weeks. I believe they're on a 4-game losing streak now. They're looking to turn their fortune around, make sure they don't fall into the toilet bowl. No easier opponent to do it against than the Canned Pams this upcoming week. Third matchup, Glizz Mafia sitting at 9-3. They're taking on PC Principal at 10-2. These two teams are the top 2 teams in the league so far this year, and they have not played yet. So therefore, the winner of this game will be taking the number 1 overall seed into the playoffs. So we'll see which one of these two is more hungry for it. And maybe this might be a preview of the championship to come. Fourth matchup, 5-7 Francy Feast. They're looking to backdoor their way out on some tiebreakers, but they need a big victory taking on sticky mistakes. They're battling for us for wild card seeding at 7-5. And then our 5th and final matchup, 2 teams sitting at 5-7, FaZe Kevin, Cleveland Steamers. The winner of this one likely escapes the toilet bowl if they don't get screwed on some kind of tiebreaker, but in all probability, a win here will get you out. Nick, what's your message for your boys this week as you try to get this thing done?
You know, we've been battling adversity all year with the mounting injuries that have piled up, but just to have a shot here week 13 to get out of the toilet bowl, you know, you can't ask for anything better. Just got to go out there and get a W this week.
All right, and then a quick look at the standings before we sign off here. In the Michigan division, Glizz Mafia has this one locked up, sitting at 9-3. And then us, the Texas Size 10-4s and sticky mistakes at 7-5. We both hold wild card spots and have them clinched. Francy Feast trying to make a miracle escape, and WalllessPluto actually out of the toilet bowl this week. They both sit like right on the line. And then in the American division, PC Principal has this one locked up at 10-2. They currently hold the number 1 overall seed. They'll look to hold that through this week against Glizz Mafia. And then behind them, a whole bunch of teams at 5-7, FaZe Kev, Philly Cheekles, and Cleveland Steamers, all looking to backdoor their way out of the toilet bowl this week. And then we have the Canned Pams in last place, 3-9. They will be playing for the toilet bowl, and they would probably be the favorites going to the lake right now. So we hope they're able to figure that one out. That is pretty much all we have for you boys this week. Nick, any final thoughts before we get off here?
Nope, nothing for me. Everybody enjoy last week of the regular season and get everybody ready for this for postseason runs or getting yourself out of the lake.
All right, very well put. Couldn't put it back any better myself. Make sure you boys tune in next week for a final regular season episode. We'll also have some kind of postseason preview for you, so it should be some great content coming your way. Thanks to everyone again for tuning in this week. Peace out.